right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So happy to have you here live with me today. And I also want to welcome you, those of you that are joining us on the replay. So, welcome to each and every one of you. And today we are going to have the opportunity to talk with the one and only, my rock star client, Sandra Goltree. And Sandra, hey, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Great. I'm so excited to have you. Now, Sandra and I go way back. And gosh, I feel like I know her family, and I think her mom and dad are watching today. So, hey, mom and dad. I love that. That's so adorable. Anyway, guys, we have a great show lined up for you today. And it is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, Sandra's heart, and I'm going to guess yours as well. And that is multiple streams of income for your health and wellness practice, how to grow your audience and launch your group programs with online challenges. So, we are going to cover a lot of ground today. And I'm really excited to have Sandra here with me to talk about this really awesome topic because Sandra is like, she's the rock star at doing this. She does this 3 times a year. So she has 3 different challenges, right, that she offers to her audience, again, 3 times a year. And each of those challenges actually leads into an upsell, right? Either a paid course, a group program, paid course. So we're going to lay all of that out for you today so you have a clear understanding in terms of her strategy. All right. So specifically, we are going to be talking about really how to integrate, some of the moving parts involved, which there are quite a few, right, Sandra? There's a few moving parts, a little bit of planning involved to be able to pull this off. And one of the most common questions that I get is, well, I really want to have a group program, but how do I get people to sign up, right? And how do I grow my audience? And so I think that's where the conversation around how to do these online challenges is really going to be helpful. All right. So, with that little bit of background, let's go ahead and jump in, shall we, Sandra?
All right, let's do it.
All right. So first of all, I'm delighted to have you. It's just always so much fun to be able to have a conversation with you and to have you be able to share your knowledge and your wisdom with others, right? Because I'm sure you remember those days not too long ago when you were, kind of like, how do I do this, right? Like,
Right.
I'm
Exactly.
interested, but how do I pull it off? So, why don't we start our conversation by you giving a little bit, just sharing a little bit about your journey?
Mhm. Well, my journey, I would say, began in 2016. And so I was transitioning out of consulting in nursing homes. And I was supposed to be doing my private practice. I was kind of doing it part time, and I was in the nursing home full time. And so it came to a crossroads where I had to make a choice. Either I need to do this or I need to, not do this. And so
Right.
I ventured off and I said, okay, let me do this full time. And for 2 years, I did it on my own. So I struggled, and I struggled. I'll say that again. I think everything that we are not supposed to do, I probably was doing it, and I was struggling trying to get new clients. I was struggling trying to get my one-on-one programs off the ground and to sell it. I was competing against the diets and the miscommunication and the marketing and the Google search and things of that nature. So it was very challenging for me to figure out how to talk through that and how to navigate through all of that. And I met Leslie in 2016, around that time, 2017, I believe. She had launched Thrive Your business. What is it? Thrive,
Grow
build your
your
thriving business.
build your thriving business.
Build your thriving business. And I got connected with her through another dietitian, and I was like, well, let me take this. I need to figure out what I need to do. And we worked together through that course, and she was really promoting programs, how to doing programs versus one-off sessions and things of that nature. And the interesting thing was I had a program, but I didn't know how to promote it. I didn't know how to price it. I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know how to get it off the ground. And so I was, and that's when I learned about private coaching. And that's when I learned about I needed that next step, that next level. And so a year went by. I was still trying to do it on my own.
Sound familiar, everybody? We always think that, we should be able to do this, right? Just like my guess is that your clients think that as well.
Yes,
I should
absolutely.
be able to know how to eat well. Yeah, I should be able to lose weight on my own and keep it off, right?
Yep, and that's what I went through. And so that's when the crossroads began, because I'm like, okay, this isn't working. So either I need to do something different, figure this out, or I'm going to have to get a job, which I didn't go back to school and do all this. I knew I wanted to be in private practice. I had left corporate America. And so I knew that I wanted to be in entrepreneurship. And so I always stayed on Leslie's email list, and I always had her newsletters. And this one newsletter came, and it just really resonated with me. You had featured Elizabeth Madison.
Oh, yeah.
I reached out, and I was like, tell me more about this private coaching. And that's when things really started. And that's when the game changed for me. I had a lot to learn. So if anybody listening who was just starting, I had a lot to learn. I didn't like to talk about myself. I didn't know how to talk about myself. As far as saying what I did, I felt like, I got to defend what I know and debate about what I know and just doing all the things that you're not supposed to do in order to. And so I struggled with all of that. And I was struggling with talking to people on the phone to try to get the sale or to try to get people to enroll in my program. So I was just struggling all the way around. And so those were a lot of things that I had to just work on my end, because we call that our side of the street. I had a lot of things I had to work on my end in order to grow. And so we were able to get my one-on-ones to a point where it was, some points it was full. My calendar was getting full, and then it got to a point where I was just one person. In order for me to reach others or to be able to reach more, I knew it was time for me to expand. And you kind of know when you get to that point, because when you feel a little bit overwhelmed, you feel a little stretched thin, and that's kind of when you're ready to incorporate that multiple streams of income, because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. The one-on-ones is the bread and butter. But you want to have other ways to bring in income. And so that's kind of how we started. And we started very small. It was about 2 years later, very small. We did a very small launch for phone consults. Like, I didn't even have a challenge in front of it. It was, I don't know if you remember this, it was like weight loss jumpstart sessions. And so we were promoting just the phone consultations to grow my email list, to grow my one-on-ones a little bit more. And very small. It was just an email sequence with some videos attached. And I think I did a few Facebook ads that somebody was able to help me with Facebook ads, but very, easing into it as far as
always they say, right?
Yeah, eased into it. And it was pretty successful. I had about 20 people who signed up to try to get one of these phone consults. And I had about maybe 8 convert. So it was really
good. I remember that. That was super exciting.
Yeah, it was really, really successful. And that was kind of my tiptoeing into it. And then rolling around to 2020, this is when I was trying to level it up and ramp it up. And I was putting together this webinar. I actually started with the webinar concept and then going into a paid program. Worked really, really hard. And if you guys remember now, we're in the beginning of 2020, the world shut down. So the world shut down.
Oh, my goodness.
A week before.
You were right in the middle of this launch. I will never forget. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. It's all coming back to me.
It was a week before I was actually supposed to officially launch. I had already did the webinar, and it had to shut down. So that took me back. It took me back. I had to reset. I had to kind of regroup. I was like, okay, wow, what am I going to do? And it ended up being a blessing in disguise. And so July of 2020, that's when my inaugural challenge was launched. And it took me a minute to figure out what to do a challenge on. Us as dietitians, we this is what they need, so we're going to do this,
Right.
but it may not necessarily be what they want.
Therein lies the difference, right? Yes.
Right. And so I encourage dietitians, if you want to know what to do a challenge on or what to do a paid program on, either do a poll or try to just kind of figure out what is it that people are struggling with, your ideal audience, what are they struggling with? And that was what I did. When I do my phone consultations, they fill out a questionnaire. They have to fill out a questionnaire before they schedule. And so, and I ask a lot of questions like, what are your top health concerns? What are you struggling with? Where do you feel stuck? What have you tried to lose weight? That's my niche, is weight loss and weight management. So what have you tried to lose the weight? What have you tried, and things of that nature? Are you willing to invest in help? And so I went through all of these different phone consults, just looking at them and reading what they were saying. And I saw a common thread, and it was sugar cravings, emotional eating, stress eating. And I just kind of kept spinning my wheels. And I ended up coming up with Crush Your Sugar Cravings. And that tagline has still
served
with me.
You well.
Yes.
And served your clients well, right?
Yes. And so it was a 3-day challenge that was designed to help you to curb those cravings, to get a handle on them, to realize that, restricting is not the answer. So they have this 3-day meal plan, and I have training that I give them, 3 different days, 3 different topics inside of a private Facebook group. And I had maybe 20 people that were really active. I had my email list actually grew about 100 people with this initial launch. And so I had people that were participating, behind the scenes, because everybody doesn't chime in, but I had a good strong 20, 25 that were actually active in attending the trainings and participating, posting pictures and things like that. And so that was really the beginning of, and I didn't have Facebook Lives back then. Facebook ads back then. So I had a lot of help with promotional partners, as what we call them. So I had personal trainers helping me promote to their audience. I post in a Facebook group every Wednesday where I'm one of the subject matter experts. So they really help promote me. I actually did a live in that group to help promote. So I was really fortunate to have other people helping me with the very first one. But I will say, with every challenge is a different personality. It's a different vibe. And so you have to do different things to promote. And that went into a paid program. And so that went into my paid program. Then it was 30 days. It was a 30-day, I call it Body Reboot Blueprint. And so basically that whole January, it's a January timeframe. So Crush Your Sugar Cravings came in the new year. It was all centered around New Year's resolutions, how those don't work, how we want to lose weight from the holidays. So that kind of was a whole core of the draw in, because people are coming off the holidays. And then with this being COVID, I had it priced rock low, because of COVID. Right. And so I got a lot of participation in that group. And so it was successful. And it's a lot that goes on. It's the email sequences, it's the videos, it's the promoting. I did a lot of personal reach outs, like my email and Facebook. People on my friends list, I reached out to them, and people on my phone contacts. So it was a lot of moving targets to get it all in place, because I was a one-woman show back then. So it was you were doing it challenging.
Yeah, you were doing it all. So I actually had forgotten that first launch was actually to a strategy session, right?
Yes.
And guys, just in case you're wondering what that is, I think it's a really super cool strategy to, like, if you want to up level your, let's just say, private clients, right? Like, get a whole bunch of new private clients into your program or package, right? You don't have to go through all that just to get a one-off. Like, I wouldn't recommend it, right? That's like a lot of work to get a one-off. Right. But if you've got like a nice, big, comprehensive kind of a VIP or platinum level program that you're wanting to enroll clients into, and maybe it's a slower time of year, maybe July. Sometimes it seems like July we see a little bit of a dip. Doing a strategy session launch can be a really effective way to go about building your business. So did we do a challenge in front of that strategy session launch?
That very first one we did not. It was
Okay.
my
It
first
was
one. We kept it real simple.
it was so guys, it can be super simple. Guess what? It could be 3 emails, right?
Yep, it was.
3
It was like
emails. That's what we did the first time. So you don't have to go completely crazy the first time out of the gate, right? So yeah, I remember we did a really awesome 3 email sequence that drove traffic to an application to get one of these amazing calls with Sandra. So yeah, and 8 of them closed, and it was at a very healthy price range, right?
right,
So
right.
what a nice boost in your revenue.
Mhm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Then we did the webinar
Mhm.
that was going to lead into a paid course. But that's the week the world shut down right after your webinar.
Yes.
And yeah, we were like, yeah, I think we should put this on
Yeah,
hold.
we had to cut it. Mhm.
Put it on hold because there was just so much uncertainty in the world at that point. So, but we didn't put it on hold for long, did we?
Right, July. So about 3 months later, I had to revamp and regroup a little bit, but it was about 3 months later, and people were stuck in the house at that time, doing nothing but eating, and it was a crazy time back then. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and one of the shifts that we made is that we decided instead of doing a webinar, we're gonna kind of change gears and really go for the 3-day event, right?
yes,
Like the 3-day challenge.
Mhm.
And I think that has suited you really well. So now give us a little bit of a sense of your rotation. So I know you're doing, I know what you're doing, but why don't you
Yes.
share with the audience, like,
Yes.
like, are you doing the same challenge 3 times a year? You got different, tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So my challenges actually evolved to seasonal. So 2021, I created 2 challenges and another group program. So basically every January, I'll have the Crush Your Sugar Cravings Challenge, which is geared towards, again, the new year, crushing New Year's resolutions. Let's do things more long term. And then in May or beginning of June, I have the summer shape up. So let's get ready for summertime, and get in shape for the summer so we can look good for the summer, and going to the beach, and things that we do in summertime, and traveling and things of that nature. So I have a 3-day challenge that's geared towards that. And then my third one happens in the fall, and then actually getting ready to come up in September, and that is post-summer detox. So now that we've gone through the summer.
Yeah, now we need to detox, right?
We've gone through the summer and we, had our fun. And so now we got to reel it back in a little bit. And so that's what the post-summer detox, and that's another 3-day challenge. And each one is different. They have their own set of meal plans. They have their own set of training, but I have everything funneling into the same Facebook group. So each challenge, the goal is to grow your email list and to grow this Facebook group, and to grow your audience ultimately. And then the one that I'm getting ready to go into, this is kind of like my VIP, my larger group program, which is 6 weeks, which is designed to get me through those the holidays, because things tend to slow down, around the holidays and things of that nature. So it's kind of my way of having, okay, now let's enjoy the holidays, and so where we don't have to gain the weight, where we find ourselves trying to lose the same weight in January. So it's timed seasonally. I didn't plan it that way, but it ended up being very seasonal because I launch like right after the holidays. It's right after like the 4th of July is when I do right after Memorial Day is when I do the summer one. And then right after Labor Day is when I do the fall one. And so, so it's very exciting. And then the beauty of the one at the end of the year, since things kind of slow down, I noticed that every time I'm in launch mode, it kind of goes viral. So even though I'm promoting the launch and I'm promoting the paid program, I still get phone consults. Like I'll get phone consults from other sources. It's almost like the Facebook ads. I started using Facebook ads with the second launch. So now I use Facebook ads, and that just kind of helps things go viral. So I'm still getting phone consults independent of the fact that I'm in launch mode, but it just seems like it just brings more attention.
Ah,
So it kind of spills over. Even when the launch is over, I'm still getting requests for phone consults. So it works out really, really, really well.
one of the things I was going to ask you to share is, and this is a common question, especially for my clients and my audience who, maybe you've got one core course, right? And so one of the questions is, well, how do you continuously get new people
Mhm.
into the fold? So you're not always just how do you grow your audience over time so that
Okay.
you can continue to launch 3 times a year?
Mhm. So what I do in between launches, and pretty much this is year round, I have a weekly newsletter. That's really where things started with the
Mhm.
weekly newsletter. It did start weekly. First, it was probably maybe once or twice a month, and then as
Yeah.
I built and got more content and things of that nature,
Mhm.
now I have a weekly newsletter, and it's usually tied to a theme that I have going on for that month. I usually have a
Mhm.
monthly theme, so I eventually grew to have a calendar of content. So, because one of the things I used to struggle with is, what am I going to talk about?
Right. Everybody has
What am I
that.
going to write?
It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So how
Mhm.
did you overcome that?
Yeah. So, well, we worked together, and basically we came up with a theme.
Yeah.
For like August is getting ready to come up, so it's back to school, back to a routine, getting back to a structure. Because
Mhm.
the summer we're all over the place, right? We we tend to kind of lose that structure in the summer months,
Right.
especially if we have children. And so, one of the things that I really wanted to do, because it was really stressful for me to try to figure out what am I going to talk about, and
Mhm.
we put together a calendar and a theme calendar, and it evolved over time. So once I kind of had that core, each month I have a different theme. This is what we talk about, and then as I see what resonates more or less, then I may tweak it, or I may change it, or I may add something based off of how I see the how it's received. And 2 years ago, Leslie had me venture off into Facebook Lives.
Yes.
So
Do you
that
remember that day?
February to be exact, of
Yes.
2021. And so that was a scary thing, because I was somebody who did not want to speak in front of anybody or talk about myself, and so now I'm
Yeah.
live. And so I was struggling with just pre-recording things, and so, but that has been a game changer. And those are things that I do also to keep momentum and to grow my list and to kind of keep me on the pulse and keep my face visible and my name
Right.
visible. So I do a weekly Facebook Live every Tuesday, same time, and that has been really helpful as far as getting new phone consults, growing my email list. And it definitely helps when you're in launch mode, because then you have that audience in your group. And so in those Facebook, and the way my funnel works is the Facebook Lives kind of serve as my core now, because that is my theme that I'm talking about kind of briefly, that feeds into my newsletter that goes out on Thursday.
Mhm.
So I have that same content that I'm refurbishing, and then that feeds into my blog on my website that refurbishes. So it all ties together. So you're not reinventing the wheel, 3 days a
That's the
week. And
key, right?
right. So it took a while. It didn't happen overnight. It was just, everything just kind of pieces together, and it layers on and it layers on. Before you know it, you have it all in place, and you're repurposing your information.
Yeah, because that is one of the biggest questions is I don't know what I would talk about if I did a
Mhm.
Facebook Live,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that and so really, so I guess let's give a little more insight into
Okay.
how you go about that. So I think what you're saying is you like your blog. So everything is repurposed
Mhm.
pretty
Mhm.
much. So we have a calendar, and those of you that have worked with me know that this is the system I teach, where we have a calendar, we create a theme for the month, right? And then we come up with 4 subtopics for each month. And it's so much easier to come
It
up with
is.
ideas that way
Mhm.
rather than like, oh my God, where do I start? I have no idea. Right.
Right. Mhm.
And then we take that anchor content, which in your case, I think we started with a newsletter, didn't
We
we,
did.
Sandra?
We
Yeah.
did.
And then we added the blog. So tell us how you utilize that core or anchor content to do
Mhm.
your Facebook Lives.
Right. And so each month, whatever my theme is, that's what I kind of pull out bullet points, or I pull out like maybe three main points.
Okay.
And I will talk on those three main points. And in the beginning, I just hit the live button on Facebook. It was no fancy bells and whistles. We just kind
Yep.
of did it.
Yep.
And then
That's right.
over time, I incorporated StreamYard and use banners, and I'm trying to seek engagement, where I'll just kind of post little yes, no questions or very one word questions just to kind of get engagement. And I pay attention to, if this seems popular, and we have analytics that run, we can see how many people listen to the replay. And if it's something that's really not so popular, maybe I may stay within the same theme, but maybe I'll change the topic, to try to funnel that. But then that same core, I have that as my feature in my newsletter. And so I have that as the feature of my newsletter. And then what I do for my newsletter, I kind of have a blurb in my newsletter about the information. And then I have a link to my website. So ultimately, I'm getting them on my website to where they can see my freebie, which I know that's a whole nother live, where they can see my freebie, they can learn more about me, they can see my testimonials, but then they'll also have access to a wealth of blogs. And it took a while. I'm at a point now, I'm at a good place now, because it's been a few years where I'm literally, okay, what did I do last year? And what do I need to tweak? But there was a time where I was like, okay, I gotta get the content out there. So once you get it out there, then it's easier to edit it and tweak it for the times, because maybe some things change. Like last year, I was saying a lot of things about COVID, so now I'm pulling that verbiage out and things like that. So it gets easier, and once you get to that point, it's so relieving.
Right.
Point. But I did struggle. Like, what am I going to talk about? And what's my topic? And when your newsletter, I use MailChimp, but I know you can do this with many other mail service programs, where you can, I repurpose those. I duplicate what I did from last year and see what I need to tweak, to make it relevant for the current year. So once you get it out there, then it's worth it in the long run.
It really is. Yeah. I'm going to take a look at some of our comments and questions. So, hey, Bonnie, welcome. So glad you could join us. So Bonnie said, I logged in to hear the conversation because I always learn something every time you two speak together. Awesome. Oh, I love it. That's great. And Karen, okay, so this goes to you, Sandra. Will you do great video?
Thank you. That was, like I said, a work in progress. I was terrified when I hit the live button. Yeah. so I can tell I was tense, and I can tell I was, probably sounded like I was reading and everything. But the more you do
Isn't it amazing how it really is a skill? So those of you that don't go do a live stream, I really, really want to encourage you to do that. In fact, I actually created a mini course that is going to be coming out probably in August on this topic, how to create your own live show. Because I'm just so passionate about, just the benefits of it, including, it really, really helps your comfort level. It just helps you get more comfortable talking, honestly.
It does.
It's amazing. And it's not like it takes years and years. It really, you see the shift relatively quickly. So even if you're terrified of the thought, I would, I want to talk to you. If that's you, we need to talk, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And it helps build that know and trust and like, because then they get to see you, they get to hear you, and you'll find yourself as you get into it. Because remember, we know what we know, so you find yourself really becoming more natural with it and more authentic with it as you you forget you're on camera once you really start getting into it.
Yeah. And it actually becomes fun. I know that's hard to believe.
I know, right?
Like, and guys, I was the same way. I was really, there was a discomfort, a really significant discomfort. And I think, I was worried about the tech, and it just like, what am I going to say? I think what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Was a real hindrance. And how do I structure the live? Right. That was also a concern. So,
And I was afraid, well, what if I mess up, or what if I,
Right. What
can't
if?
get it out?
Right. What if I lose my train of thought? What if
Yeah,
I forget what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah,
Right?
right.
All those fears. Honestly, though, it really. Well, first of all, people are very forgiving,
Hmm. Hmm.
very, very forgiving. And you just, I don't know, you just get so much more comfortable, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
So you got to, make a commitment that you're going to do it. And the other thing I would say on that topic is it's not really about you. In all honesty, it's you kind of have to shift your mind a little bit. You're showing up for your audience, right? And if you're thinking it's about you, I'd really try to shift that thinking into, because it's really not. It's about you serving, right? It's
Yeah.
serving and showing up consistently, keeping
Hmm.
your promise to show up,
Yeah.
even if you don't feel like it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Just show
another
up
thing,
anyway.
yeah. And another big thing, you will, in the beginning, I felt like, okay, nobody's watching, nobody's paying attention. You kind of feel that way with social, and you're posting, nobody's replying, nobody's liking.
Right.
But one thing I've learned is stay the course, stay
Yeah.
consistent, because every now and then somebody will come and send me a message, Sandra, I don't say anything, but I really appreciate this. You're really helping me. And that like gives me the energy to just kind of, okay, this is making a difference. And people watch the replays. And so people are watching you, even though it doesn't look like they're watching you, but so stay the course. That's the
Yeah.
thing I can say.
Yeah, and that brings up, it's a really good point, because one of the fears is, OMG, I don't want to do this because what if no one shows up,
Mhm.
right? What if nobody, you just go with it.
Yep. Yep.
Right? Like that's
Yep.
the best advice, right,
Yeah.
Sandra?
Just keep going. Act like you're talking to a million people.
Right. I love it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, so Karen says, I really appreciate you sharing many of the behind the scenes details behind your success. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Sandra, yeah, Sandra has a lot to share. In fact, we were talking about other topics that we want to talk about next time. So, all right. So, Bonnie, when you have groups, Sandra, are you doing several lives per week, both your Tuesday lives and the challenge live? So,
Okay,
what do you have
good
to say
question.
about that? Hmm.
So when I'm in challenge mode, I do not do my regular Facebook Live. I'm
Hmm.
actually in the private Facebook group with the challenge that's actually going on. So that particular week, that's the one week I take off when I'm actually in challenge mode, because actually I go live on Tuesdays, and my challenges usually run Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so I promote to that audience, hey, I'm not going live this week. I have like a promo video, not going live this week, but you still have time to sign up for the challenge. I'm going to be in the challenge for 3 days doing the training and
Right.
supporting and getting people through. So during the challenge, I do not do the regular Facebook Live. When I am doing my groups, I do. I meet with the group weekly. And so we usually meet in the evenings.
Mhm.
Every week, we'll have some kind of like training and topic. And then I do like kind of a little bit of one-on-one, where do you need help
Yeah.
type deal to support. And then, but when we're in the paid program, though, I am still doing my regular lives, because the paid program, those trainings are at night. So I'm actually doing both when I'm actually in the paid program. But when I'm in challenge mode, I don't do the regular weekly live for that particular week, and then I'm in my group.
And then Bonnie asked, do you run longer groups or just the week long challenges?
So I do both. So I have the 3 day challenge, which is kind of the front end, and to get the buzz and to get the email list growing. And then that's kind of my low hanging fruit, so to speak, to convert them over to either I have two pay programs or the phone consultation. So I still do the phone consultation one, but now I have a challenge in front of it. So my January challenge that goes into a 4 week, I think, yeah, 4 week paid program. And then in the summer, when I do my summer shape up challenge, that actually goes into my phone consultations. So to get
Mhm.
people into my one-on-one programs. And then when I do the one I'm getting ready to do in September, which is the post-summer detox, that one's going to go into my 6-week boot camp that I have. I have a nutrition and exercise boot camp that I'm doing. So they're going to get 6 weeks of meal plans as well as a 6-week exercise rotation. And so so that's kind of like one of my signature my big boy group
Yeah.
program, so to speak. And that is 6 weeks. So I'm kind of doing both. So the challenge is kind of the front end that leads into the paid program or the phone consultation.
Right. Yeah. Gosh.
And and where I am, I'm in Florida. I'm in Orlando, Florida. So they love challenges. So it's almost like you have to assess your ideal group if challenges is the good thing for them, or do they like webinars, or do they like something different. But my audience, they love a challenge.
That's great. Yeah, because there's different ways to position, obviously. Obviously, you can call it a challenge. You can call it like a 3-day live event, a 3-day masterclass. It kind of depends in terms of, what resonates for you and your audience and just how you want to position it. So one question I have is, can you talk a little bit, because this is a really common concern when we talk about the precursor to the paid program, meaning the webinar or the challenge that leads to the paid program. And the concern is always, oh, what do I talk about so my free thing doesn't cannibalize my paid thing? Right? That's always the concern.
Yes.
And so, yeah, what are your comments on that?
Yes, because we as dietitians, myself included, we want to give it all.
Right.
We want to give it all. And so during my challenge, you focus on, you want to give value, of course. You want to provide a service, but you're giving them more of the what and the effects of it. And then the paid program is more, okay, how do we really do this?
Yeah.
How do we implement this? And how do we dig a little deeper? Because you can only do so much in 3 days, right? You're going to get results. People in my case, their energy levels improve. They're like, wow, they enjoy eating and the variety. They feel great. They're sleeping better. They lose a little bit of that bloatedness, so they get results. Yeah, they do get results in 3 days. And that is that motivation, because a lot of times they've lost motivation, and that gives them, oh wow, well, if I'm getting this in 3 days, what is she gonna do in her paid program? And so
that's what you want.
Yeah,
that's what you want, right?
Yeah. And so the paid program is really when and even the phone consultation, now we can dig a little deeper. We can get with my phone consult, I say, oh, I can be more personalized. But I can use that. But with a group program, I just say, hey, we can go deeper. You're going to have that group support as well as my support, and we can take things to another level. So it's almost like the pay program is like this. Now you can give the nuggets on how to do it. The challenge is like, okay, well, this is the what, and
that's a great way to put it. Kind of like the what and the why, and maybe a little bit of the how.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit of the how.
Yeah.
Because they're getting results. So clearly you're sharing a little how.
Yeah.
But the paid program is really the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
It's really deep into, okay, here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to roll up our sleeves and actually do it.
Yeah. And one thing with the title of your challenge, the training kind of supports that, like I have 3 days, like I'm talking about how coffee, that's the mojo. People think that coffee is the energy booster for them, so kind of, how the mojo impacts, your weight. And so your topics kind of go in line with the name of your challenge. And so I kind of made sure that what I am speaking on, that kind of supports the struggles that they're having with cravings and like another one is carbs is not the enemy, because a lot of times people will cut the carbs, and we know that that's why their energy levels are low, but they don't realize that. So just kind of giving them a little bit of taste of how whatever this challenge is supposed to address, the training, it kind of supports that a little bit to give them a little bit more insight on their pain points and why those pains are happening. So that's something to kind of keep in mind.
I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. And Karen, so Karen asks, so how did you create the meal plans? Did you outsource this using Eat Love or other,
Mhm.
or make it yourself? P.S. I hate creating meal plans, right? Who
I
doesn't?
do too.
I don't even know. I don't even know if I could. Like,
Right. It's a lot of work.
I think I'd have to go back to school.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
'Cause, yeah, I'd have to go back
Absolutely.
to school to learn how to do it, guys.
Yes. I use That Clean Life. So that's what I use. And I use Practice Better as my EMR. And they work together really, really well. And they actually have several themed programs, kind of meal plans are already in place. And I remember when I was trying to come up with Crush Your Sugar Cravings, and I'm going through these different meal plans, and I'm reading, the questionnaires to try to figure out how I'm going to tie this in. And I found they actually had a program already done that was related to, it was sugar-free, basically no added sugar.
Yeah.
So that's really the premise of my Crush Your Sugar Cravings, is how you're eating clean and it's no sugar added. And for a lot of people, they're like, oh, how am I going to do this? But they come out of that challenge like, wow, I can't believe that I survived, and I didn't want my coffee and stuff like that. So I had help with that. So I used it as a base, but then I edit it, because you're able to make your own tweaks and make it cater to making sure the meals, will fit your ideal audience, but yet you want to give them something different and fun and flavorful. So I use that as a base. And I use that for all of my challenges, because when I do my paid program, the 4-week one, they get 4-week meal plan. And when I do the 6-week one, they get 6 weeks. So I would piece together different programs that they have, and then I'll tweak it based off of how I need it tweaked, and have the calories, where I feel like will be a nice middle ground for most people and things like that. So, but definitely, no, there's no reason to create the wheel. It's there for us.
Love that. Absolutely. So good. I hope that helps, Karen. All right. So, any other questions from our audience as we look to wrap up just a little bit? Any other nuggets that you'd like to share, Sandra? Anything else that you think might be helpful?
I would say definitely just stay the course. I mean, as dietitians, we feel like we have to have everything laid out from day one
Such a
to
good point.
day whenever it ends,
Yeah.
and we do not. I'm
Yeah.
that same person.
Right.
So definitely take it bit by bit. I had guidance, so I definitely recommend, having guidance. Leslie is a great coach, so have guidance to get you through, because it's very overwhelming. It's very
Mhm.
overwhelming even when you have help. So
Yeah.
imagine when you don't have help. So and take it step by step. I started very small. I started very small. I didn't do ads. I didn't have a lot of all the fancy promos. I it was word of mouth.
Right.
And then you grow and you evolve. And then I fine tune and I tweak every launch. I kind of keep notes, what maybe was a challenge, or maybe people didn't
Right.
get the memo, or was some struggles with, whatever. Then I kind of make notes of that to improve that, to make it easier the next time around. But don't fear it, because we need it, because we need that break. We need that balance of having that multiple streams of income, and just know that you start small and you evolve.
Absolutely. Oh, Bonnie has a great question here.
Okay. Are you saving your theme calendars and repeating them absolutely. What I do is, okay, we're about to go into August. I went to August 2021. Oh, what did I do?
Uh-huh.
And I look at it and review it, and I've gotten them to a place. I have everything saved in Word documents and things like that in my cloud. And so I refurbish that. I have the newsletters. I do the same thing. I go back a year to see what I did.
Yep.
One of the things that I ended up doing, because I was stressed out with the promos and the images and all that, I do have a social media manager, and so she does all that stuff for me. And she's been around over a year now, so we're able to repurpose a lot of stuff, even her images and things of that nature. So it gets easier with time. So definitely save everything, and sometimes I've changed themes, like I've like, oh, this one didn't do too well,
Mhm.
then, but you have a base, and it's a lot easier to edit. But I definitely repeat, because you know what? You have different audience, everybody doesn't read everything.
Right.
They don't know that you're repeating it all the time,
They
and
really don't.
they don't know. And I haven't had anybody say to me, "Didn't you do that last year?" So I haven't gotten that comment yet. So it's working.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I did. That was I remember calling Leslie. Was my session. I'm like, okay, Leslie, I can't do this. I don't know what to talk about. We gotta figure this out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we literally got out the calendar
Hmm.
and did the work. Like
Yeah, we did a whole
literally
year.
we did a
We
we
did
did a whole year. Like
yes.
came up with the themes, came up
Hmm.
with the subtopics,
Hmm.
wrote the titles,
Yep, we
right?
did.
Before
Hmm.
we wrote the articles.
Yeah, and then I just went out and I wrote the content, but I just needed something to go on,
Yeah.
it was such a stress reliever. It was such a load off because it's like, okay, it seems like as soon as you finally get the content out there for the current month, now you're back to square one, trying
Yeah.
to figure out what to write for the next month, and it's been working because the themes we kind of think about what's going on at this time of the year. Like you
Yeah.
said, next
What are
month we're
people
going back to
thinking
school.
about, right? Like
Mhm.
what are
Yeah,
people struggling with
what are they struggling with? Yeah.
based on the month? What are they thinking about? What are they getting ready for? Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
I think just really, putting yourself in their position. I
Hmm.
always say good marketing, guys, it's being empathic, right? It's really the epitome of empathy.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we put ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah.
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 And that's really the most powerful marketing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, I've got new clients because of some Facebook Live. So it's amazing how sometimes it's the newsletter, sometimes it's the Facebook Live,
Right.
sometimes it's the launch, sometimes it's I just known you for years and been following you and now I'm ready. I mean, you just never know what is
That's what's
the
super cool,
trigger.
right?
Yeah, you never know the
Um,
trigger.
you don't. And I think you bring up that's a great point because, and I do hear this, well, like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I don't think I'm getting any traction,
Hmm.
right? It's
Hmm.
fine to pivot. It's
Hmm.
absolutely fine to pivot if that is truly the situation. That being said, a lot of times you just like you don't always know, right?
Right, right. You don't always know, and that's how you know it's working. And sometimes now I'm on IG, so my social
Yeah,
media gave me an IG presence, and so sometimes it's that, and so it's not always Facebook. It just kind
right.
of
And
depends
then
on.
sometimes it's a combination.
Yes.
Like,
Hmm.
okay, I
Hmm.
found you here. Then I discovered you have a Facebook Live show, and
Yep.
I love your yeah. So it's pretty cool how that can work. It
Yeah.
it it,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But
I really think the bottom line is just stay consistent.
stay consistent, yeah. And don't overwhelm yourself. Like I didn't start where I am right now by far. Everything
Right,
evolved, like it was Facebook all the way. And then eventually when I got the social media manager, IG came on the scene
right.
and I was able to expand to Facebook ads and then the lives came. And then I go an extra step now with the lives, which I didn't even mention. I feature my client once a month.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So
I love that. Okay,
yeah.
before we close, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so every month well, try to do it once a month. I will have either a past client or a current client, and to have them share their journey. Because with my audience, it's about letting them know, look, you're not alone. You're not alone in this. There are
Yeah.
other people out here who have the same struggles. This is what they did. This is what they
Mhm.
did to overcome, and this is what they did to get through, and then how they're doing currently. So they kind of talk about their struggles, before me, and what we did, what they learned, and then where they're at, and they give kind of some advice on what do you do to get out of, whatever the situation is. So they've been really, really fun. And I give them the option. They can pre-record it, because everybody's not comfortable
Right. Do it
with doing
live.
it live. So they can pre-record it, or we can do it live, So that's been really good. And that has gotten traction as well, as far as, because some people I got a new client recently. They were like, I've been watching you. She's known me for years, and something that client said was like, I have this healthcare team. I have doctors. I have a dentist. I have, this. I didn't have a dietitian, and
Right.
her hearing that was like, oh, wow, well, it's time for me to
Right.
get a dietitian. So you just never know. But again, it's like 3-4 years into this, or several years into this, that I'm to this point. So just kind of take it bit by bit and don't feel overwhelmed. And as it's time, it will evolve and you'll find yourself like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing all this stuff.
Exactly. So good. Yeah. So we got to add things one at a time. Just like with all of you, you wouldn't have your clients change everything overnight, right?
Right.
Because it'd be impossible. And I have that same philosophy. We want to layer things in, help you to create a habit, become, proficient on, each of your different marketing platforms one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then we can just add things in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Sandra, it is a pleasure as always. Thank you for making time. I know you had to reschedule a client to join us today. And
Anything for you.
thank you. All my love. Love it, love it. So yeah, thank you for rescheduling. Thanks for sharing all of your wisdom. We'll do this again for sure.
Absolutely.
I think next
Absolutely.
time, guys, Sandra had a great idea. We are going to talk next time about the enrollment process. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is an awesome topic.
Yes.
How to enroll clients successfully. And Sandra is going to share some of her trials and tribulations and many, many subsequent successes in terms of enrolling clients. So look forward to that. So, all right, guys, it was really fun hanging out with you this afternoon. Hope it was beneficial. And I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Have a great rest of your day and an awesome weekend. Bye for now.